Keith, I'll start with the news regarding Reece Brown. He's today signed a one-year deal. Of course, he was at Man United as a kid. He's been at some big clubs like Watford and Sheffield United just recently. He's definitely someone with pedigree, isn't he?
Well, he's got pedigree, got great technical ability. I spoke with his previous managers, coaches, other players. For me, I look at his record and he's the type of profile player that I'm used to acquiring. We've agreed to a one-year deal which suits everybody, and let's see if we can get him going. You know, it gives me great flexibility. If I'm looking at the makeup of my squad, the jigsaw, players that have left, what I wanted to do this year in reflection of what we didn't have last year. You know, I think now looking at it, I've got a permutation of arguably 7 defenders, which gives me great flexibility. Now I can look at the picture in front of the back four and start giving Andy Cannon. You know, Andy Cannon's, you know, #1 in the replacements of Matty Lund as a central midfield player. It's up to him to accept that challenge. So, you know, the days of Andy Cannon filling in as a right back or playing as a right back are long gone. He's a midfield player, and that's what Reece brings me. He brings me great flexibility where, you know, I have to have multi-positional players. Now, Keith could play central defence, he could play centre midfield, and at a push, because of his experience, he could play right back. Now, I've got Joe Raff signed up. Now, I've got Reece Brown, who can play right back, can play centre back, can play central midfield, sitting in front of the back four. So from a defensive strategy, everything in front of the goalkeeper I've got. Now I plan to add another goalkeeper. We're speaking with a goalkeeper today that will come in as an equal #1. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for 2 #1 goalkeepers to promote that staple diet of you know. We've got to be competitive, and then I'm looking at you know, the top end of the pitch where we scored over 70 goals last season, and just trying to jig 1 or 2 things about. I'm definitely after speed because we're a pressing side. We like to do things quickly, and you know, I'm looking at the bigger jigsaw picture. You know, 22 outfield players, 2 goalkeepers, and still got flexibility to bring 1 or 2 of the young players through. So the jigsaw's fitting into place. Like I said, I need multi-positional players. Jim McNulty can still play left back. Kitch can play left back, central midfield. And it's important that I have that flexibility going into the season with the players that we're recruiting and the players that we've retained.
In terms of Mark Kitching, just touching him, will this be a big summer for him now? He's been at the club for a few months and he's getting ready for that first pre-season under you.
Well, it's a big pre-season. It's a clean slate for everybody who's connected with a football club, myself included. But we have to make sure and remember what's got us success and remember where we've failed. And we've got to start putting a jigsaw together that tries to improve us as a team over 90 minutes on match day. And we can only do that through the training processes. And every player's got to go through those processes. Now, you've got to be open-minded as a player. You've got to show flexibility to play in numerous positions because the modern day game's changing. And you have to be flexible at a club like Rochdale, where a key part of our match day success is what we do on the training pitch. Now, Mark Kitchen, for example, I think he can, you know, be the box-to-box midfield player on the left side of 3 in midfield, 2 in midfield. He could play outside left, outside right, cutting in. And equally so, he's got to be flexible enough to fill in or start the season at left back, depending on what happens with Joe Bunny. You know, obviously, from a defensive structure, if I wanted to, I could go with Jim McNulty at left back, bring Niall Canavan in. And, you know, defensively, that's something that we might do. We've got to be flexible with the way that we approach strategies as well with the you know, systems that we use. And you know, the game's progressed a lot further than 4-4-2. We all want to win. You know, what's good about the English game now is I think we've caught up with the continental approach of, you know, using different systems, looking at oppositions, you know, devising strategies to surprise, a bit like the Trojan horse mentality, which I use quite a lot, because when we're playing against teams who've got better pedigree than us, then it's important that we find a different way of beating the opposition or shocking the opposition into defeat. And I think if you look at the recent table, we're 29 places above where we predictably should be finishing on a regular basis. So we are being very successful. I think there's only 2 teams, Swansea and Bournemouth, who finish above us in exceeding expectations. So we want to continue doing that, and the way that we can do it is by shock surprising oppositions with strategies, techniques, and you know, preparing those players for the opposition we're playing against.
We scored 87 goals in total last season. Yeah. In terms of the goals conceded, was that something that was disappointing for you? Is that why you wanted to strengthen in that area?
It's to be expected. There's a certain demand on the way that we play. It's very difficult for players. With the defensive strategy, there's a framework, but within that framework, I can't legislate for at key moments bad decisions from players or mistakes. And we have suffered a lot of mistakes, individual mistakes this season. I could go really, I suppose, if you're looking at the way Jose Mourinho was summarising his season, I could go really pragmatic, but I have a little bit more flamboyancy to the way that my team want to play. And I don't think being pragmatic in League One for Rochdale would suit us. I think we will definitely finish in the bottom 4 if that was the case. So the goals that we score will probably give you an indication of the amount of chances that we create and the amount of pressure we put on the opposition. We have to be better at defending when we are in possession, and that comes down to concentration, because we are controlling a majority of the games that we play in. We are creating and outnumbering opportunities, creating the most oppositions. So it's important that the players like Harrison and experienced players make less mistakes that are due to concentration or individual error. We will always be vulnerable at set plays because generally we're quite a small side, and it's something that I have to play with mentally and I have to accept, because they always say that a good little one is better than an average big one, which is correct, but a good big one is always better than a good little one. So we've got to find the right balance between the two, and we generally do it. We have again finished in positive goal difference, and not too many teams in League One have done that outside the top 10 or top 8. So we're doing something right, but I agree. But defensively, it's not about the unit, it's about the individual making less mistakes and not putting too much pressure and finger pointing on those players, because they know they've made mistakes, but it's important that they learn through the mistakes to gain experience, and hopefully the experiences of the season just passed will benefit every single one of us at this football club. We have to maintain at least 70 goals a season, goal scoring in League One, which will help us avoid relegation if our defence isn't right. If our defence is right and we score that amount of games, that amount of goals, then we will definitely be knocking on the top 6 door.
Just going back to Reece Brown, given he has signed this contract before the end of May, does that say a lot about his desire to come to this football club?
He does. You know, I think he's been pointed in the right direction. I do believe that we as a football club, we're an olive branch, we're a go and grab that type of player. We will work with you, we will improve you. We know that you tick a certain amount of boxes. The boxes that are empty, we've got to make sure we fill, and we'll help him do that. It's a relationship that we're going into. It's a contract of vocal commitment, and then the physical commitment and the technical side of the game has to be worked on the training pitch. But he has to commit. He's assured us and promised us that he'll commit to us. Now we'll commit to him. We need to bring Reece Brown back to footballing life. Give him the opportunity. He's got to be all in. He's got to almost like crowd dive, if you like, into our arms and trust us to develop him, and that's what we intend doing.